Morning, Graham Vincent. I'm here at the New Forest Folk Festival with Glyn Jones, who's a violin maker.
Right.
I met him briefly. We were trying to work out when, probably 2018 at the Wessex Folk Festival, and I rather admired his instruments then. It was about the time when I was wondering whether I would be really foolish to actually sort of go professional on the making front or not, and he was probably one of the fools who sort of persuaded me that it was a good idea, I suspect. So anyway, it's quite interesting to be here and have a bit of a chat. So anyway, that's the intro. Moving forward. So Glyn, here we are at the Folk Festival. You do a whole range of instruments. Some are Baroque and beautifully sort of traditional, but then we also, I notice we've got some which are a bit more, I guess folky is the best way to describe
that's right.
it.
Yeah. Generally at festivals, I only come out a few times a year. This is my shop window, which I come and show people what I'm capable of doing. They're not all necessarily for sale because they are demonstrator instruments, but particularly the folk instruments are these four that you see along here, and you have here a mixture of 5-string, acoustic 5-string instruments. This one is a special because it's 5-string with an electric pickup device that are built into the chin rest and the bridge. And this one is one of a similar style, the shape and all that, but it's only a 4-string. That came about because there was a customer about 8 or 9 years ago now, really loved the 5, loved the shape and the sound, but only wanted 4 strings. So then I had to go back to the drawing board and produce a fresh set of plans and a mould to produce this one. This one we call the Celt.
Who does the artwork on it?
I do.
It's very nice.
Because as a maker yourself, you appreciate the ribs are very thin. I take mine down to just over 1.1 millimetre. So any kind of inlay or etching or any other sort of invasive sort of process to mark or decorate the sides is a no-no because it'll significantly weaken it. So this is just varnish painted on. It's a continuing Celtic knot pattern which I stole off a Planksty album, believe it or not.
That's interesting because I'm just in the process of having some lettering put around the side of one of mine, but I've gone down the totally different route. I've gone down the Amati kind of.
Oh yes, with the gilding
and black. Yeah.
But that is pen and ink. Well, even back in those days, the old makers, they used to use pen and ink
on the ribs. Certainly, didn't they? Yeah.
Although Stradivari's famous instruments with the floral patterns around the edge, that was inlaid using ebony dust, I understand, mixed with glue, but he reinforced the ribs on the inside.
He must have had a lot of time on his hands.
He was an ebonist, as it turns out, before he was a violin maker.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Ebonist as in cabinet maker.
As in cabinet decorator.
Right. Okay. Fantastic.
They used to his foundation.
Anyway, I've taken
digress.
us off on a tangent. Sorry. Hey, the other thing I notice, I think everyone's going to notice, is the form is quite unorthodox.
Well, it's not my idea, funny enough, because the shape itself was derived from an instrument that's currently in the Ashmolean Museum.
I've seen it.
The Lyra de Bratier by Gasparo de Salo. I stole that particular shape because the project I started on 15 years ago was to produce an instrument, a 5-string instrument that was specifically designed for the 5 strings. Currently on the market, what was mostly available were either small violas with an E added or a violin with a low C, and neither of them necessarily allowed the full resonance of the whole 5 strings to be fulfilled. So it meant starting again with the body design. Now, by taking this shape, removing the upper corners, immediately you got a little bit more air inside, which will enable the C to come out a little bit more, the lower resonances of the C. We're looking at a 4-string, we should be looking at a 5, because as well as removing the upper corners, if you look at the bottom of the instrument, the treble side of the instrument is the standard violin height.
Oh, I see.
And
so 30
the
up
bass
to
side,
like 35 or something like that, is it?
That's right. Well, this goes up to 33.
33. Okay.
That's right, because it's a now known fact that the air mass inside the box, when it's being resonated through the action of the bridge, it moves in a vertical sense. So it makes sense to have more air underneath those strings where you need that little bit more resonance, the lower frequency.
Yeah.
So that was the reason for that. And then other design features, of course, the tailpiece I wanted as absolutely as light as possible. So this is just really an offcut of maple. Once I've cut the back out, I reuse the wood, and by making the after string lengths different, it reduces the likelihood of unwanted wolf notes. I mean, it's a fairly common accepted concept now in violin making. And with no tuning done on there, of course, we work to the top, and all of these are all now the Wittner geared pegs, which
I love those. To be honest.
Absolutely,
I think they're great.
They should be mandatory on all violins.
Funnily enough, I don't have them on my performing violin at the moment. I did on the last one, but no, it's. I think they're great. Basically, I really do.
In fact, I brought a set with me this weekend because I know there's a customer coming to have his violin fitted up.
Yeah, I think I've at the moment I've got something more akin to this on my personal violin.
Yeah,
But
well,
I think they're great. I really do.
Yeah, and then the chin rest. Well, because of the difference in length, of course, I can stylize the shape, and of course I've repeated that in the fingerboard. And I mean, that is just for more artistic sort of license, but there is a function as well with the fingerboard, because any piece of wood, anything is going to resonate at some point on the body of the instrument, and the more weight you have hanging over the fingerboard is free to resonate.
Yeah.
And so I've taken a little bit of weight off there, so maybe we're going to lose, stop any unwanted resonances there. And the chin rest is also shaped to ergonomically fit around the tailpiece.
Yeah.
And in this case, of course, it holds a very small buffer amplifier with a coin cell there and an output jack, because I embedded a piezo element in the bridge, which drives through there. So if you want to play plugged in, you get exactly the same acoustic quality, only louder.
Yeah.
At least
Fantastic.
that's the theory.
So where are you based?
Based in Amesbury.
Amesbury.
Yeah, just north of Salisbury on the 303.
Yeah. And so people can, primarily you sell through shows or?
Yes, or my website is violin. Just type in violin to Mr. Google and he'll take you straight there.
Perfect.
And yes, I generally invite people to the workshop any time, but it's appointment only. I mean,
so prices range from?
They generally start between 3,000, between 3,000 and 4,000 for a hand-built commissioned instrument.
Fantastic. And how many do you make a year roughly?
At the moment, I'm lucky enough to be getting through 4 to 5 a year.
Okay.
Yeah, my order books fill up fairly quickly, and as long as people are prepared to wait, then it's all fine and dandy.
That's good stuff. Fantastic. Yeah, well, thanks so much for talking to me. It's been really interesting.
You're welcome.
And yeah, hopefully I'll catch up with you again, maybe not quite so long this time.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, thanks, Graham.
So Glyn's off just making a cup of tea, which sounds like a fantastic idea. But that's it from me. I hope you've enjoyed that. It's always fascinating to see what other people get up to. Similar problems, slightly different solutions to them. So yeah, anyway, look after yourselves. Cheers, folks. Bye.